Hello fellow cinephiles, Film Guru here. So for those who are new to the channel, my name's Sean, also known as Film Guru, and I started this channel to ultimately have my say on particular movies, TV shows and a variety of other film content. So thanks for joining me today. So today I'll be reviewing Reminiscense. This was written and directed by Lisa Joy, who's known for Westworld, and this is her debut film. It stars Hugh Jackman, Thandie Newton, Rebecca Ferguson and Cliff Curtis. It really focuses on Nick Bannister, played by Hugh Jackman, a man who's come out of war with a disability, and he's ultimately a scientist. He learned to be interrogator, extracting certain memories out of people's heads via a machine, and ultimately trying to get the information they require. After the war, he ultimately uses it as a way of them remembering their past and to return to particular memories that they thought they've lost. His whole world is turned upside down with it when he meets May, played by Rebecca Ferguson. This sort of mysterious character that appears on his doorstep. A relationship begins between them and May suddenly disappears, leaving Nick not quite knowing what's going on. He begins his journey of searching for the truth and will stop at nothing to find the truth, no matter the cost. I thought this was a really great and interesting concept and a really interesting film and well executed in a lot of ways. I think Lisa Joy is one to watch out for. This is a very strong debut feature film for her, and I'd like to see what she does later, because I think she's kind of an interesting director with some really great ideas. I think she makes a really interesting and engaging movie with colourful characters, and this is really a neo-noir, and I really like that. It's sort of set in a real world, but also sort of in a futuristic world in a way, just in the smallest of ways. I like the world that she creates and crafts. I like where it's set and the idea that water levels have risen and the world is completely covered in water now, and they have to use boats and particular things to get around the cities. I like that she's crafted a world, and the world feels like a character in itself, and it sort of reflects what the movie's about in a way. Much like the city, it's like you have to be covered in water, and everything's covered in water and hiding things deep below the surface. I think it's filled with really well written and drawn out characters that you care about, and the situations they find themselves in, you want to see them succeed or survive them. I like the technology aspect to it that was sort of original, and people are saying it's like Inception. Yes and no. This isn't really looking at dreams, it's more looking at memories, but it's doing it in a very different way, in a different setting. I'm a big fan of noir, which you probably know from other reviews I've done, and I really like the detective element to the film, and I think it's really well executed. And it's his voiceover all the way through. It kind of reminds me of the Raymond Chandler novels and the characters he creates in those, and the storylines that he has, and I really like that. I thought all the acting was really great. I thought Hugh Jackman was really good. It's the first role in a while that I've really enjoyed him in. You know, Nick's kind of this damaged character and lives in the past a little bit because of things that have transpired for him and things that he experienced during the war. And it's left him sort of scarred. But when he meets May, it's like he's brought to life once again, only for that to be stripped away. And he doesn't know what's going on or what's happened to her, and this is a driving force for the character. But he feels once again lost. I think he's really interesting. I like the way he's able to bring out people's memories and how he goes about that. I like the office that he works out in this sort of building. I think it's really interesting. He's a character you do care about, and much like him, you want to see what happened to May. I think Thandie Newton, I think she's really great here. She plays Watts. I think it's a really well-drawn character. She's kind of cool and kick-ass. She saves Nick a lot of times when he's in trouble. She's his voice of reason when he does things that are a bit questionable. Also, like him, she's scarred from the war, the violence and the shooting that she had to do as a soldier, and the impact that that's had on her and her life and the people around her. I really like the bond between Watts and Nick. I think it's a really strong bond. It's more of a really strong kinship and friendship than anything else, but they try and help each other. Cliff Curtis is always good at playing sort of questionable roles, and I think he's solid here. But I think the real standout here for me is Rebecca Ferguson. There's a seductiveness to her character, and she sort of feels like a classic femme fatale. You're not sure if you can trust her, but by the time you realise she's not quite what she seems, she's already sucked you into her world and in her life. And there's an air of danger about her. You're not quite sure who she is or what she's capable of or what she's really after. She has a really great scene. I like when she first appears to Nick, and the way they present her is really captivating and interesting. There's a sequence where she sings at a club. I really love this. I thought it was really interesting. It reminded me of movies from the 40s and 50s, and that's what the whole movie really does remind me of, movies from that particular decades. Because Lisa Joyce created her own world, it feels like this film is timeless in a way. It does this thing where you're not quite sure what's real and what's a memory. It sort of blurs the lines between the two, and I thought that was an interesting aspect to the movie, and it really keeps you on your toes. There are a couple of things that I felt could have been a little better. In the first 20 minutes, the film takes a shift, and it sort of is a jarring thing that happens, and it takes you out a little bit, and it takes you a little while to understand what's actually transpired and what's actually happening. And I think it removes you from the movie, and I think that's something that they could have done a little better. It just feels it gets a little weighed down by its material and its story, and it doesn't really know what it's doing about halfway through. And the other thing is, I felt the Nick character isn't consistent, isn't physically consistent. When we first meet him, he seems capable enough, but he keeps getting in situations where he gets beat up or shot at, and he just can't seem to defend himself, or he can't seem to stand on his own 2 feet, and really needs people to save him in a lot of ways. That only changes in the end, where you get to see that he's physically capable and he can fight, but it just feels like they weren't sure what he was going to do. Wasn't capable like he should have been, and made him a little inconsistent. But besides that, I enjoyed the movie. I'm going to give Reminiscence 4 out of 5. I liked it. It was interesting. If you like something that's a bit different, you'll probably get a lot out of it. And I just like the sort of sci-fi element and the world created. Anyway, that's all from me today. Thanks for watching. I hope you enjoyed this video, and if you did, please hit subscribe down the bottom, follow my Facebook and Letterboxd. Otherwise, until next time, enjoy the movies.